Caiatl confronted her nightmare in Dominus Ghaul last week, and as you guessed, she was unable to defeat it. The other two main characters had to overcome their fears. Caiatl seems like she might have at first, challenging the nightmare to this epic battle, but she also never took part in that severance ritual, meaning the bond could not be complete. At the end of last week in the terminal, we see Caiatl speak to Eris Morn about this trouble, and accepts the ritual in the end.
My incompetence threatens the future of my people. There is no quarter for failure.
You speak Ghaul's words. They erode the truth. What is your nightmare? An expectation you must shed like dead skin. What will remain when you do so?
I do not know.
Then you must look past your shame and say, I am more.
Very well. Prepare your ritual.
It awaits.
This is where we pick up this week, Caiatl joining the cause, believing in Eris Morn's hive magic, and abolishing the nightmare of her former mentor. Welcome in Guardians, hope you're having a great day, and let's jump right into this video. If you missed Caiatl's previous story, make sure to check out this video right here first. There's a lot of great information in this season, and it's starting to wrap up soon, so that's a good place to catch up for Caiatl at least. This video is going to be a recap of the story just this week. So Caiatl's journey begins at the helm with Eris Morn.
We stand at the precipice of victory. There is but one final link that remains between CALUS and the pyramid, and we are ready to strike at it. Caiatl has been brought into our ritual bond. She is now prepared to confront the nightmare of Ghaul and undo her father's work. However, by my estimates, CALUS has already infiltrated the paracausal matrix of the lunar pyramid. The dark below groans and churns with excitement at this revelation. Emanations from the lunar pyramid whisper a singular psychic demand to all who can perceive it. Rejoice. CALUS is overconfident, and we must take advantage. Go, return to the Leviathan and prepare.
Eris describes that Caiatl has been through the ritual and is ready to take on this nightmare of Ghaul and sever it for good. The issue seems to be that CALUS may have already won though with this lunar pyramid. Eris talked about this voice reaching out from below the moon near the pyramid, saying one word in rejoice. And looking at some of the triumphs, next week is going to be the conclusion, so it seems that most likely will happen. We severed these nightmares from these most important characters, but maybe CALUS does win. He interacts with that pyramid, and then next season, say on Europa for example, could dive into stopping those nightmares or something completely different. So the next 8 minutes or so are going to be dialogue highlights and important information from the Sever mission. If you'd like to fast forward to the analysis, you can skip to this point on screen.
Caiatl will arrive shortly.
Drop pod breach successful. The ship has turned rancid. The Leviathan's transformation is a spreading miasma. One we stop here. Take the engines, Guardian. I ascend another path, but I will see this through with you.
Come to challenge me again. The beaten always do. We lifted the Cabal from CALUS's stagnation. Now your Midkeepers list the world's lost, not added. They speak of what once was, and no longer of what could be. Is this the new Cabal you've envisioned?
We've both humored scribes conjuring purpose for us. Futures that never came to pass. Theirs is the buzzing of insects caught in turbulent winds. When the wind shifts, so will they.
The interference has returned, more complex than before. Something language adjacent, but familiar. A translation of a translation.
Your edge alignment was poor.
Guardian!
Caiatl, dispatch this light spawn and send its head back to the city.
Silence! You are a weak imitation of the Ghaul I knew.
I am limited only by your weak imagination.
I will find you at the end.
You stand with the Traveler's puppet against me? You have grown fat from weakness, drunk on their patronage.
The interference is a voice. I've heard it whispered through the tree of silver wings on Io and beneath the ice of Europa. But it does not speak to us. This connection must be severed. With Caiatl bound to the crown, together we cannot fail.
They are using the Cabal, using you. The Empire is cattle flesh between the city and their enemies. They will let every last one of us die to save themselves.
They have proven otherwise. I do not fear our enemies. The light is at our back, and we are the Cabal. We eat the mountain. We drink the seas. Let them come. Get on with it.
You were never able to best me, Caiatl. That's why I left you to hold my throne.
I was fighting with weapons you gave me. Now, I wield my own.
Nothing more than a child playing, Empress. You lack my drive and your father's vision.
The old ways are dead, Dominus. I forged a new Cabal in my image. It does not require your approval.
I see, Caiatl. I see your new Cabal pulled from the jaws of extinction. You have surpassed me. I attempted to subdue the light and burn for it. But you wield it on your war council. What conquest is more deserving?
You still don't understand. It wasn't conquest. It was compromise. An act your traditions never would have allowed.
You have finally grown beyond the prescriptions of your idols. Despite my legend, Ghaul is flesh. His words are only words. Like yours.
There is a difference. Mine are better. Was that it, then? If dead men and sanctimony are all CALUS has to threaten me, he might as well turn the Leviathan around and run. It is strange. What we are to those around us, and what we are not. The Dominus was a hero to my people. Self-made and defiant. He inspired many. But the Leviathan's trickeries allowed me to see Ghaul as the Vanguard did. Dangerous, relentless, cruel. Those were qualities I embodied to survive CALUS's interpretation of fatherhood. They kindled in me a stifling reliance on self, on action, and nothing else. Most of all, Cabal wished to be seen. Our conquests recognized and ratified by the shockwaves they send through the Empire. The impact we leave. But an endless war in pursuit of glory leaves only ashes. When I am gone, it won't be the impact of my conquests that shape the Empire. Instead, it will be the quiet of peace in the company of allies. Well fought, Guardian.
So at the Sever ending, we can see Caiatl has accepted this. The memory of Ghaul, the Force Ghost of Ghaul, says that he sees Caiatl's new Cabal and how she's ruling a different way. He says that you have surpassed me. Ghaul was a huge mentor in Caiatl's life, especially since CALUS was the way he was, a bad father, and she would look up to him and be on his council for a very long time, ruling together. Although she did look up to Ghaul, she now sees him the way humanity had, hell-bent on destroying an entire race to claim the power of the light. Caiatl says that when she is gone, she won't be remembered by the impacts of her conquest or destroying of planets. Instead, she will be remembered by the quiet of peace in the company of allies like humanity. With the three main nightmares now severed, something is happening below the surface of the moon that is haunting even Eris Morn. When I listen to this, I'm like, wait a minute, Eris, we're putting our trust in you. It seems like you know what you're doing, but now we're completely in the dark and CALUS could win? Take a listen to this.
Victory sits before us, and yet it feels strangely hollow. We have severed what should be the final connection to the pyramid, and yet there is no reaction from the Leviathan, no reaction from CALUS, and the lunar pyramid's psychic emanations are quiet. I cannot help but feel as though we have not weathered the storm, but merely stepped into its eye. The nightmares contained within the crown of sorrow are seething. Something is coming, Guardian, and we are not prepared. I would ask that you return to the Leviathan, continue to imprison the nightmares aborted, while I attempt to ascertain what has changed.
So yeah, this is gearing up towards next week's conclusion. Eris Morn is trying to figure out what changed after all this time, and we may have been played by the big man in CALUS. In the lore card release for this week, Voices of the Haunted, that's the book, and it's titled Propaganda, we see CALUS explain the truth, that the Guardians have fallen into his trap. You wonder if I am a spirit, if I have become something beyond Cabal, if I have ascended like Acreus did when he cradled the sun in his grasp. Allow me to soothe your curiosity. Yes, I have become all you have imagined, and so much more. The Guardians believe they hold victory, but soon they will see the truth they have ignored with such determination. This road is long, but it only has one end. So, my soldiers, I leave you this task. Hold the Leviathan. Show no quarter to those who would walk the halls of your home as invaders. It is your final task before you may be uplifted to sit beside me at the end. So I definitely recommend you read the whole lore card if you went through the quest this week, but basically CALUS says he's ascended to something like godhood. Those soldiers that stay in the Leviathan, they may join him if they are worthy enough, and that the Guardians basically set his plans in motion. To wrap up this week, we have the terminal entry from Caiatl and Zavala. If you remember back to Zavala's Sever missions, in one of the terminals these two would talk to each other and they said this.
Conquering one's demons is a noble task. There are many stories of Cabal heroes who did the same. Now, they live forever, as legends.
I don't want to be a legend, Caiatl.
Too late. Even we have stories about the great Commander Zavala. Only we do not call him that.
Did you need something, Empress?
This is not a formal communication. This is a private reckoning. One warrior to another.
I see. I fought countless battles where my life was on the line. Won and lost them. Nothing like this. Never as hard.
As I told your crow once, battles fought in the theater of the mind and heart are just as brutal as ones fought with flesh and bone. We all bear our scars, victories, defeats. Some openly with pride, some others hidden away beneath layers of shameful armor. This battle was the most honest of your risen life. You won.
I don't feel like I've won any battles. I just feel tired and old.
And yet, you still stand.
And here is this week's terminal.
Eris told me what happened. How are you?
Tired and old.
But do you feel like a legend, Caiatl?
I will break you in half, small man.
I can't imagine it was easy. That confrontation after all this time. Mine wasn't.
You are not mistaken. I know what Ghaul is to your people. A symbol of death and ruthless ambition. But he was so much more than that to me. He was an idol, an inspiration to all Cabal. Even though he was born to a low station, he rose. How he rose. I was blinded by the light of his accomplishments. Unable to see the man inside. Unable to see his self-aggrandizing corruption. I refused to believe he was as much like my father as he was. It repulses me how much I still feel for them both. In spite of everything they became.
It's hard to challenge your idols. Even harder to make the decision that you'll be different. But then you look back on your life, your own mistakes, and you wonder how you'll be judged when all is said and done. I'll never know Ghaul as you did, but I know you, Caiatl. I see you.
That is all anyone can ask for. To be seen as they are.
So Caiatl and Zavala have a very close relationship, both being leaders of their respective races, and I can only see this relationship getting stronger in the future. Anyway, Guardians, I hope you enjoyed this roundup of this week's story and quest. Definitely be sure to subscribe and stick around for next week's, as things will get a little crazy. Anyway, I thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you Guardians in the next one.